You're not going to believe what just went down in the UFC lightweight division. Just when you thought the action couldn't get any hotter, Dana White has dropped a bombshell, signing a fighter with a jaw-dropping backstory. We're talking about a guy who already holds a knockout victory over one of the most talked about rising stars in the UFC, the very fighter who's been drawing comparisons to none other than Conor McGregor himself. This isn't just another contract. It's a power move that promises to shake up the entire 155-pound landscape. You know the drill. Dana White's Contender Series is where dreams are made, where hungry, talented fighters put it all on the line for a chance at the big leagues. And in the latest episode, a new legend was born. A star is born, the incredible comeback of Manuel Souza. Manuel One Punch Souza just earned his golden ticket to the UFC, and he did it in the most dramatic way possible. He was battling Christian Perez, and let's be real, it wasn't looking good. He lost the first 2 rounds, and you could feel the pressure mounting. But this is the fight game, and all it takes is one moment, one perfectly timed shot, to change everything. And that's exactly what happened. In the 3rd round, Souza found his opening. He landed a monster punch that wobbled Perez, and from there, it was a feeding frenzy. Souza swarmed in, pouring on the pressure and securing a TKO finish that was both brutal and beautiful. Dana White was so impressed by the heart and grit, he showed that he immediately signed him to a contract. But here's where the story gets really, really interesting. The unbelievable backstory, a knockout win over Mauricio Ruffy. Get this, before he even stepped into the Contender Series octagon, Manuel Souza had already faced off against one of the most feared knockout artists in the 155-pound division, a guy who's now a household name in the UFC. Back in 2019, at Standout Fighting Tournament 18, a young Souza stepped up to face Mauricio Ruffy. At the time, Ruffy was an undefeated 5-0 powerhouse who seemed destined for the UFC. He was the next big thing, and everyone knew it. But Souza had other plans. The fight itself was pure chaos. Ruffy dropped Souza early in the 1st round and opened up a cut. It looked like it was over before it even began. But Manuel showed the kind of resilience that few possess. He not only survived but fought back with a knockdown of his own, ending the round in control. The 2nd round was a masterclass in capitalizing on a mistake. Ruffy, perhaps a little too confident, dropped his hands and backed up to the fence. That's all the opening Manuel Souza needed. He uncorked a massive punch that landed flush on the chin, and a few follow-up strikes were all it took for the referee to step in and wave the fight off. Manuel Souza had pulled off a stunning upset, temporarily derailing the hype train of a future UFC star. The rise of a phenomenon, Mauricio Ruffy's UFC journey. Now, let's talk about the guy who was on the other side of that knockout. Since that loss to Souza, Mauricio Ruffy has been on an absolute tear. He's won 7 consecutive fights, 3 of them in the UFC octagon, and he's not just winning. He's putting on a show. His UFC debut was a highlight reel moment at UFC 301, where he delivered a flying knee knockout that sent shockwaves through the division. The commentators, awestruck by his style and power, immediately started comparing him to a giant Conor McGregor. The comparisons didn't stop there. He dominated James Lontop at UFC 309 and then cemented his star status with a spinning wheel kick knockout of the fan favorite, Bobby King Green. Ruffy is no longer just a prospect. He's a legitimate contender. He's set to face the number 13 ranked Benoit St. Denis in a highly anticipated co-main event at UFC Paris on September 6. This fight is a huge step up, and a win would catapult him into the top 15, bringing him closer to a title shot. A rematch in the making. So, what does all this mean for the future? With Manuel Souza now in the UFC, the possibility of a rematch with Mauricio Ruffy is no longer a pipe dream. It's a real, tangible possibility. Imagine the storyline. The undefeated, electrifying star against the guy who handed him his last loss. The tension, the history, the high stakes. It would be an epic showdown that fans would go wild for. Of course, Souza has some work to do. He needs to prove himself in the octagon, string together some wins, and climb the rankings. But the seed has been planted. The story is already written. All that's left is for these two incredible fighters to make it happen. The lightweight division just got a whole lot more interesting, and we're all in for a wild ride. Are you ready for the potential rematch of the decade?